Hi friends, my name is Ajay Dwivedi. In this session, we are going to talk about how to install SQLMonitor on your SQL Server boxes. SQLMonitor is a free tool that I have built using PowerShell and native T-SQL. It is entirely free. You can use this tool to baseline your productions and non-prod environments. You can install this even in your personal laptop and desktops to learn performance tuning. So let's get started. Before we install SQLMonitor, there are some prerequisites for installing SQLMonitor. We need a central server which should have at minimum 4 core and 16 GB of RAM. If you are installing this on your local laptop or desktop, then you can ignore this config settings. Then we need to install Dba Tools and PostRS job modules on your central server. We need to install Google Chrome, Visual Studio Code and Git utilities. We need to ensure that PowerShell remoting is working fine on your central server, and we are successfully able to do PS remoting for the SQL instance which is being baselined. And in the end, your SQL instance which is being baselined should be able to connect from SSMS from within central server. Finally, we will download Grafana and install it, and we will do some configuration changes before we import our SQLMonitor dashboard. So let's get started. For this demo, I have already created a virtual machine. The name of the virtual machine experiment. So let me start this one. Before I proceed, I want to validate the configuration is correct as per the values we talked about. CPU core 4, RAM 16 GB, which is what we needed. So I am going to start that virtual machine. Press Ctrl or Delete. I am assuming that initially you are trying to install or baseline your local SQL Server instance which is installed in your local laptop or desktop. Usually your local laptop or desktop, they would not be joined to any domain. If it is joined to any domain, that is not a drawback, rather an advantage. But I am going for the most common scenario where you have a laptop or a desktop which is not joined to any domain. So in that case, it would appear as joined to a work group. Next thing which usually happens in this scenario is whatever SQL Server instance you install, whatever SQL Server version you install, usually it is running under local anti-service account. So I am trying to produce exactly same scenario in this demo. So let's get started. Initially we want to install Google Chrome. I already downloaded Chrome setup. So let me copy it locally on my document folder and start the setup. Since Chrome is ready, next software that we need to download is Visual Studio Code. Go for Windows and System Installer 64-bit. Click Open. Check all these boxes. and there we are, Visual Studio Code successfully installed. In here you will see this source control icon. When I click over that, it is saying me download Git for Windows. Let's do it. Click on OK. Click on Open. Here check this checkbox and choose Google Chrome. Click OK. We want to install 64-bit of Git. Let me click on that. It is downloading that Git utility. Once it's downloaded, let me open it and start the installation. In this drop down, go for use Visual Studio Code as Git's default editor, and for other options simply click on next. Uncheck this and click finish. Reopen Visual Studio Code. In here, press Ctrl+Shift+P from your keyboard and type reload. Choose the second drop down menu, developer reload window. Once this Visual Studio Code window is reloaded, now you can we see different options here. I want to clone a repository. Whether we want to clone two repositories, one is Dba Tools, next one is SQLMonitor. Let's start with Dba Tools now. Click on this first link, which is from Dataplat Dba Tools. Click on this code button and this copy URL thing. Since we copied the URL, go back to your Visual Studio Code. In here, paste that URL, press enter. It is asking us to choose a folder where GitHub Dba Tools would be cloned. I have F drive, so I am going to create a folder GitHub on F drive and go inside that folder, select repository location. In the meantime, while it is cloning, let me go to SQLMonitor on GitHub and then copy that URL. Scroll to the top, code button, copy the URL, go back to Visual Studio Code. It seems Dba tool successfully cloned. So let's clone another one, our SQLMonitor repository. Paste the URL here, press enter. Like last time, it is asking to choose a folder. Go inside the GitHub. Once you are inside, click this button. Dba Tools SQLMonitor repository is also cloned. Now I am going to open that folder. So it's in F drive, GitHub, SQLMonitor, and there we are. Click on this checkbox and then press this button. Yes, I trust. Now, before I explain little bit about it, in this repository you will see a file called .gitignore. This file, what it indicates is Git source control will ignore all these files and folders which have these names. One of these is private. So if I create a private folder here, Git will ignore that folder and that folder will never be detected by the Git or overwritten by the Git. So it is entirely safe to create that folder inside here. Let me open this SQLMonitor and then we will go ahead and create that folder there. So I am Under that GitHub SQL Monitor folder, here I want to create a right click, new folder. I want to give it a name private. There we are. In the private, I want to keep scripts which are customized according to my environment. For installation, we have two wrapper files. We have two wrapper files in SQL Monitor Infra. First one is for installation, second one is for removing SQL Monitor. I am going to copy both of them and paste them inside private folder. According to instructions, now we already installed Google Chrome, Visual Studio Code, Git. We have cloned the Git repositories also. The only thing which is remaining, I think, is we have not installed Dba Tools and Powershelli job. Let me check if we already did that. To do that, we have to open PowerShell ISE, search for PowerShell ISE, right click here, run as administrator. Let's start with installation of Dba Tools. Install module Dba Tools. Scope should be all users. I don't want to install only for myself. And I want to see whatever is going on in background while this command is running. So I enable this verbose switch. Similarly, I want to write this code for Powershelli job module. Here click yes. Yes to all. So this command is downloading the latest version of Dba Tools, which happens to be 1.1.134 right now. And now it's trying to unzip it, and eventually it will install that. Let me install Powershelli job now. Click yes to all. With this, we complete all the basic requirement, I guess, except for Grafana. No, one more is remaining. We need to validate that we are successfully able to connect to the SQL instance, which is being baseline, and PS remoting is working. So let's validate the PS remoting. Enter PS session, computer name. I am passing the local computer because this is the same computer which I am going to baseline. Same server which I am. Here you can see I have entered into a PS session because we see the remote machine which we passed here. So that means PS remoting is working successfully. The last thing we have to validate is connection to the SQL instance which is being baseline. So that I am going to do inside SSMS. While SSMS opens, let me open wrapper scripts, GitHub, SQL Monitor. If you guys remember, we copied wrapper scripts in private folder. So open, install wrapper script, and there we are ready with PowerShell at least. Here, go to browse for the instance that you want to baseline, or so that instance is connecting successfully, no error at all. I like names in camel casing, so that's what I'm doing here. Let me copy the instance name properly and go back to our Powershelli script. Little bit about this Powershelli wrapper script. So the wrapper script has all the parameters, and from this wrapper script we call the actual script, which is install-SQLMonitor.ps1. While calling this, we are passing all the parameters as a variable. This is called variable splitting, I think. Parameter splitting in PowerShell. This script, in my case, is present on F GitHub SQL Monitor folder. In your case, the directory might be different if you clone the SQL Monitor on some different path. So change this path in your case. Now let's start replacing the variable values. In my case, the instance that I want to baseline is my central server itself, which happens to be experiment/SQL 2019. Then we have to provide the database name. This would be the database where we will store all the metrics that we are collecting. Let's ensure that this database exists. Right now this database does not exist, so I need to create this one in order to, so that our PowerShell script can succeed. Initial size for initial database data file to be 100. For log file I am giving 4000 MB because I don't want to create multiple log files, multiple VLFs. Similarly, auto growth also 4000 MB for log file. For data file, again 500 MB only. In options, I want to keep this database in simple recovery, as I don't have any very critical RTO RPO. There we are, database is created, but right now it is a blank database. There are no tables, views, stored props at all. Similarly, there are no jobs on the server at moment. Let's go back to our script. So database name DBA is we created already. Now in this line number 12, we have to specify the Dba Tools folder that we git cloned. In my case, this is exactly the same name here. I git cloned it on F drive inside GitHub folder, so this part is correct for me. Line number 13 specifies the parameter value, remote SQL Monitor path. So where you, on the remote machine, you want to keep the PowerShell script. I like to keep it in C drive because sometimes I forget where I kept the SQL Monitor files. On the C drive, it's always visible. So that's why I keep it on C drive. Line number 14, 15. Once again, validate your central server or inventory server name and database. So in my case, central server and local server are same right now. That's why I change it to experiment/SQL 2019. Database is also same. This parameter DBA group mail ID. Put the mail ID for your DBA email, DBA group email. In my case, I don't have any DBA group here, so I will put my email ID SQLagentservice@gmail.com. Rest all the parameters look good. So let's start the execution after saving this script. At first it is trying to import Dba Tools module, and then it will start validating all the basic details and checks. In one of the checks we failed. Let's read the check. It is saying kindly provide Windows credentials to create SQL agent job proxy. In SQL Monitor Infra, we are creating some SQL agent jobs which call PowerShell scripts which are present on the disk. Sometimes we need admin access to run those PowerShell scripts. So if your service account does not have admin access, in those cases we need SQL agent job proxy, and if we do not provide any Windows credential, in those cases we get this error. So what I am going to do is I am going to simply skip this check, and once all the jobs and SQL Monitor setup is complete, then we will manually create credential and job proxy, and we will change the job steps to use that proxy in later stages. So to do this part, we have this on line number 40, we have this parameter which the name of the parameter is skip Windows admin access test. I am going to enable that so that we can skip the proxy checking. So the jobs will be created, even the jobs which run PowerShell scripts, but the job might fail. We will correct that once all the jobs are created and this PowerShell script finishes. So after enabling this parameter, this switch, I am going to rerun this script. So there we are. It is installing lot of community available tools like first responder kit procedures, SC human event, who is active, and apart from that, then we are creating our SQL Monitor and native tables and stored procs and views. So it seems that our script has successfully completed without any error. Let's open SSMS, refresh the database node and see within the Dba database whether the tables are there. So yes, tables are there now. Let's refresh the jobs node and see if the jobs are created. So I can see lot of jobs are created here. I am going to open the job activity monitor and ensure that each and every job which is running operating system command, that means some PowerShell script in background, that one is completing successfully. So this first job, check instance availability, this one also calls PowerShell script. So I will go here, even though it is saying that in last execution it completed successfully, but still I want to validate manually. I right click on the job, view history, expand the last execution history. Starting at the bottom, I want to read all the logs just to notice any keyword like error. So in this line item, it is saying below jobs finished without error. So in short, this job is running just fine. Next job, which say the name of the job, collect disk space, also calls a PowerShell script. Like last time, let me check the history for the latest execution. Starting at the bottom, I want to keep reading the messages just to make sure that the job is running fine. No error messages. It is saying export completed in 6 seconds. So yes, we are good for this job also. This job, collect OS processes, this also calls PowerShell script. So this one also I want to validate manually. Starting from bottom, it seems this also is running fine. Collect performance data. The last outcome is failed for this one. Let's check that. Since it has failed, so the first thing I want to do is I want to disable its execution. That's why I disabled the job. I don't want it to rerun until we fix the error. Right click on the job, view history, open the last execution history. Starting at the bottom, we keep reading the error. The first line says fetch details of Dba data collector. In this SQL Monitor infra, we create one data collector set. The name of the data collector set is Dba. So let me show you guys performance monitor. Expand this node, data collector set, user defined set, and here you can see we have a data collector set, name of which is Dba. Files are going into see SQLMonitor performance file folder. So we are trying to check the configuration of that data collector set, and since we don't have access to do that because SQL agent account is a local account with very minimum privileges, we need some administrator account to run this job. Let's go ahead and create credential to get rid of this problem. Credential. Now, key point here to remember is, since our machine is not joined to any domain, in that case, whatever login we are specifying here, whatever user we are specifying here, that user should be preceded with the machine name. So the server or machine name is experiment / user that I am using is administrator. Administrator, yeah, correct. In identity, come here, paste that, check name. If it is detected, that means everything is good. Provide the password for that local account. There we go. Now we need to create a proxy utilizing that credential. Go to SQL agent, then go to proxies, right click on this folder, new proxy, paste the earlier name that you copied in the credentials, paste the same thing and click on check name. If it is detected, then you will see square brackets here. Here choose operating system, integration services and PowerShell. Click OK. Go back to job activity monitor now. Open job properties for the job which was failing because of admin access issue. Go to steps, click the step, click on edit. Here from the drop down, choose the proxy account that we just created. Now rerun the job once it is saved. This time this job should complete successfully. Let me check the job execution history. Right click on the job, view history, expand the top execution while it is running. There you can see it already completed successfully. Still, let's scroll from the bottom. It is saying fetch the details of Dba data collector set. It found the details. It is looking for the last imported file. Then it says that we found 2 files present on the disk to be imported into database, and it imported them successfully. Pretty much this job is running just fine. So after we made sure it is running fine, I am going to enable it. Let's look for another job which I can see has failed in last time. This also has PowerShell script call. So I go to the step and change the job to run under a proxy which we created. Let me rerun the job after we changed it to run under the proxy account. It seems this job has also run completed successfully. So we are done from database side. All the database changes that should be there for the SQLMonitor infra, so SQLMonitor tool are done there, are already present and running successfully. Let's proceed for the last step, that is configuring the Grafana and dashboard. Go to browser and download Grafana. Choose the latest version, whichever is available for Windows. Download completed, so I am going to start the installation. Click on more info, run anyway, next, I agree. It seems Grafana completed successfully. Let's validate if the Grafana service is running. Get service. Service name should be Grafana. I can see there is a service named Grafana and it is in running status. What that means is we can connect to Grafana now. Type localhost here and then 3000, which is the Grafana port. The default username and password for Grafana portal is admin. Type admin. Now once you log in, it is asking to change the password for security reasons. I am going to change the password. Here we are inside Grafana portal. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a data source pointing to our central repository. Click on add data source. Search for SQL Server here. Choose this Microsoft SQL Server. In the name of the data source, you can give it any name. I prefer SQLMonitor here. In the host, you have to provide the SQL Server Instance for central repository. In our case, here it is experiment /SQL 2019. Database name should be Dba, as that was the database which I created. In username and password for authentication, type Grafana. In SQLMonitor infra, while setting this SQLMonitor tool or baselining, we create a login Grafana which has read-only access on DBA database. It has no other access on entire server. So it is pretty safe to put Grafana here. In the end, I think we are done. Let's click on this save and test and see if we succeeded. So yes, database connection is okay. That means our data source is ready. Now click on this 4 tiles and choose new folder. Create a folder SQL Server. Remember, the first 4 characters of SQL Server folder name should be capital, rest of them should be small. This is because Grafana is case sensitive. Now we are inside that SQL Server folder. Here I want to start importing all the dashboards. So click on this new button, import, upload JSON file, go to your SQLMonitor cloned repository folder. In the SQLMonitor, look for Grafana dashboard folder. Starting from the top, import all the dashboard JSON files one by one. The first one, monitoring live all servers. Make sure the folder is SQL Server and the data source should be the one which you created. Import the next one. Browse for JSON file. Make sure the folder is SQL Server. Data source should be the one which we created. Import. Next, third dashboard, SQL Server and our data source, import. Fourth dashboard, which is my favorite. Weight stats is the favorite dashboard. I love it. And now the final. There we go. We have all the dashboards ready. Let me go back to the SQL Server folder. To summarize, now we have a SQL Server folder with all the 5 dashboards that we saw in earlier sessions. This one will show you all the baseline SQL servers on a single screen. If one of them is offline, it will appear in second row. If any of them need some kind of DBA help or care, it will appear in third row. The first row will show all the SQL Server instances which are baselined and are being baselined from this particular central server. This second dashboard is used for monitoring live metrics of a SQL Server instance. So let's open and validate whether the information is showing there. Yes, you can see the information is pretty much appearing. First row for operating system metrics, second row for SQL Server metrics, and then the trend analysis in further panels. So we can see CPU trend analysis looks like this on this server. Similarly, memory grants pending, wins of rejections, connection requests. So pretty much all the dashboards are, all the rows and panels are working on this dashboard. Let's validate couple of more, and then we will end our session. The next one is perform counters suggested by Quest Software poster. I come here, expand these panels, and here also I can see the data loading. That means we successfully implemented even this dashboard metrics. Finally, my favorite one, wait stats. I don't think, okay, we are even seeing this one also, so it's good. Here we can see we have the server has been up and running for 33.9 minutes, and in this time frame we have collected write log has been the top wait type. This is 25% of the wait type on the server. So pretty much all the dashboards are working fine. That's it in terms of what needs to be done while setting up SQLMonitor tool. If you guys have any question, please feel free to post it under this video on YouTube or fire me email. Also, if you like this video, please do like it on YouTube and share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel. Thanks folks, thanks for joining, and enjoy performance tuning now.